What's up, YouTube? Angry Jackalope, Raw Bricks. I can turn this guy off. He doesn't need to be on. Because I'm going to do another reading from Convergence 2012. Dun, dun, dun. Alright, let's keep going. Let's see. Okay. Chapter 38, Hunting the Hunter, January 1st, 2012, Bimini, 1:13 a.m. Kuthanaga opened his eyes and glanced at Joy, who was stern and silent. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her jaw was clenched tight. I know where Richard will be, and I have seen that Tim is alive. Rachel's visions have been fairly accurate, so we'll work from those. How is he? Asked Joy. He's alive. I won't go into what they will be doing to him. Joy growled, Tell me! Otherwise my mind will imagine the worst of the worst. Kuthanaga gently placed a hand on her shoulder. I'm afraid your fears will not be too far from what will happen, which is why I'm going to do something I fear is reckless. Sonari stood nearby, and she tilted her head slightly. Reckless? Kuthanaga doing something reckless? She was listening intently. The Drakes get a lot of their technology from the Kunoks, and I happen to know a few are friendly to the Anukai. I'm sure they know where Tim is. I'm sure they will know where Tim is. I saw a large device where Tim is at, and I'm sure it's Kunok technology. If they helped build it, they might know where it is. Also, I know where Richard will be, and fortunately for me, it is close to where my Kunoks are. He turned to face Sonari. Have you gotten to the east coast yet? She nodded. Yes, I have roughly 40 mirrors along the east coast. Where specifically? New York. Yes, I have one in Newark. That will be fine. I will join up with her. Kuthanaga, is the risk worth it? He nodded. Yes, it is. He is important to me. You know that the Drakes will be expecting you. Somehow Zygro was able to escape even though I bent time. He escaped because he shifted slightly. Your time bend affected him. You just didn't see him. She nodded. He took a great risk in doing that. Yes, he did. But it worked. He is very smart and resourceful. I know my fate, and you yourself have seen a confrontation which is supposed to happen after the convergence begins. So let's take that I am successful in this effort and go from there. I wish you success, Kuthanaga. And you too, Zanari. Please look after Joy. I fear they will be looking for her as well soon. Joy's eyes widened a bit, and she remained quiet. I shall make sure nothing happens to her. Kuthanaga closed his eyes and focused on Zanari. Zanari reached out and brought her mirror into focus, and Kuthanaga slowly faded out. Rachel had been silent the whole time, simply listening. She didn't have the heart to mention she hadn't had the confrontation dream of Kuthanaga and Richard since she had shared it with Zanari. She didn't know what it meant, but she didn't want to add anything to the heavy air of sadness. She would allow them to hold on to the hope they had, and she prayed Kuthanaga would be successful. Kuthanaga materialized and looked around. The street was empty and littered with debris. The mandatory curfew was in effect since the massive rioting which had been going on for months escalated in the deaths of 6 police officers. He focused and made sure he was barely visible as he started running. He knew roughly where he'd find his Kunok contact. A couple of hours later, he was outside New York University facing the Tamanent Library. He walked through the walls and headed to the basement level. He walked through a wall and there was a hidden room. Inside, a small Kunok was reading quietly. The Kunok glanced up. Kuthanaga, been a long time. How did you find me? I kept tabs on you, old friend. So the humans have tampered with the reporting mechanism, which is why you are here? Kuthanaga smiled. Yes, they did. I am here also because I have seen something which troubles me. The small being closed the book and regarded Kuthanaga directly. What would that be? Tiamat. You've seen it? Kuthanaga nodded. Swear on your father. I swear it. The Kunok was silent for 5 seconds. And what do you want of me? I need to know where it is. A human under my protection is to be placed in it. Then he is good as dead. Yes, I understand. I'd like to prevent that. How many Anukai do you have with you? Just me. Forget about it then. The area is guarded by at least 100 Drakes. Kuthanaga laughed. Is that all? Kuthanaga, as a friend, I warn you against this. It is impossible. My friend, you forget. We can manipulate time itself. The Kunuk looked away for a moment. What is it? That would not help you there, my friend. We have made a recent breakthrough on the time manipulation ourselves, and earlier this day, my brothers had delivered a device which will counter any time fluctuations you may create, which basically negates that ability. Well, that's not good. As I said, there is no chance of success. Again, I disagree. Your devices are mechanical, electrical, biomechanical, and electrical, yes. So then I would imagine they're susceptible to EMPs? Yes, to a small degree, but they'll self-repair. The amount of energy needed to affect all of them will require a large release. Are you telling me you can tap that much energy now? Kuthanaga shook his head. No. But I only need to affect a small area for just a second or so. I see. Yes, you may be able to buy yourself a second or two if it works. You'll need to find a way in and get to your human. That would be difficult. Almost a month ago, we were instructed to add detection capabilities to the facility. It was then I suspected Anukai were on a crust. I just need to know where the facility is. I can get to where I need to. Easy enough. Kuthanaga, I know the loss of Sani has affected you. I hate to lose two friends. Please consider what you're doing. Is this life of one human worth the risk? He's not just one human. There is something special about him and his wife. They are able to do things I have never seen before and do not understand. The Kunuk was silent, and a look appeared on his face for the briefest of moments. There are things you do not understand about the humans, such as they are much more complex than you realize. Have you not wondered why it was so easy to meld the Anukai DNA and the human DNA? The humans are very adaptive. In all the years of analyzing them, we finally understand why. Yes, we Anukai have wondered and debated how the humans were so easily accepting of our DNA. What have you learned? Their souls are powerful. The flesh is nothing more than a vessel to store that energy. The humans are unaware of the power they possess. And Tiamat harnesses this energy? Yes. Humans are destroyed in the process? Yes. Hildreth, Tim is a valued friend who I've sworn as my protected. Yes. I know where you're going with this. Damn Anukai in your honor. Here's the location of the human. Images swirled in Kuthanaga's head and he smiled. They have it under Ellis Island? Yes. Thank you, old friend. You will not be forgotten. If you die, I will be. Kuthanaga left the Kunuk alone, surrounded by his books. As he ran on, he realized that the fortress he was going to try to infiltrate was going to be nearly impossible to crack. The Kunuks were many things, but one thing they were not was exaggerators. It was the opposite. They usually were very conservative in their estimations. The fact that he had provided Drakes with detection capabilities specific to Anukai meant that there would be no stealth involved. Brute force was also not an option, as a single drink was much more than equal to a normal Anukai. Kuthanaga was more than confident he could take 10 or more Drakes, but more than that, he'd be overwhelmed. His options were quickly running out. There was one option. He knew doing it would mean almost certain death for him. He and Zanari had already come close to violating the Anukai Code of Time. It was a fact that wasn't lost on him. He knew they'd have to face the council later and welcomed the chance to present his case then. He realized all at once there was no option that wasn't available to him in regards to Tim. He knew Tim was special, and he had a fate to follow. Chapter 39, Facing the Hunter, January 1st, 2012, New York. Ellis Island, 2:22 a.m. Richard had been wondering about the information he'd get from Tim. He glanced at the back of the boat and saw that Tim was still stacking Z's. He knew that in a few hours Tim would be in the most pain he'd ever experienced in his life. Richard knew his wife was very persuasive with her abilities, and even with his strong will, Tim would break beneath her onslaught. His phone vibrated, and he glanced down and saw it was his brother Sam. Hello? Rich, I need some help. We're under a lot of fire about the economy, and I'd like to run some of that agenda past you and see what you think. I'm a little busy, brother. Can it wait for a bit? Sure. How about later this morning around 9? Richard thought about it and nodded. Yeah, that should be fine. Melissa should be pretty deep in the tin by then, he thought to himself. Great, see you then. The air was cold, and the sound of splashing waves against the side of a small boat rhythmically soothed his nerves. His phone vibrated again, and he glanced down and he saw it was his wife. Hello, Melissa. So where's my plaything? I'm nearing the island now. Peering ahead, he could see the dock. Missing, though, is the security detail. Melissa, did you send the guards like I asked you to? Yes, of course. Why? No reason. Just checking. Let me call you back. He hung the phone up and growled in native Draconian. Be prepared. Anakai are here. The 6 men who were with Richard on a boat snapped into attention and readied their weapons. Richard turned to grab Tim when he felt an odd tingling over his entire body. He spun around and felt the icy touch of a long Anukai blade at his throat. Glancing around, he saw all 6 of his men sliding down where they stood, all gutted and headless. Kuthanaga stood there with a grin. Hello, Zygril. Been a while. Richard sat back down, all the while keeping his hand in plain sight. He knew if Kuthanaga wanted him dead, he would have been. The fact that he was still breathing was an exciting mystery to him. I'm curious as to why you decided to spare me. I figured it was time we had a talk. The boat slowed down and came to a halt. Richard realized Kuthanaga had taken out the men and also the driver of the boat and turned it off. The sound of the waves continued to splash against the side. There was an uneasy pause as both men sized the other up. You took my human. For that reason alone, I should kill you. Not to mention what you've taken from me in the past. Which, in my defense, I was unaware of until I had killed her. Would it have made any difference? To be honest, I'm not sure. And as far as your human goes, he killed one of my blood. My wife really wants his head. And to be honest, I'd rather face death than her wrath. I found him once. I'll find him again. What I do not understand is why he's so important to you, Kuthanaga. You wouldn't understand. Fine. I can get beyond your fascination with him. What are you doing here? Cleaning up the mess the Drakes and the Kunaks caused with the humans. You are aware of the Convergence. Yes. Well, we can't sit by and allow them all to die. So let me get this straight. You're here on the crust to save humans. Yes. Why didn't you say so? We don't care about them. Okay. So let's talk about Tiamat. Richard clenched his jaws and squinted his eyes at Kuthanaga. What about it? I've told you why we're here. What's the deal with Tiamat? Richard threw his hands up. Well, if you want to ruin a surprise, we're building a weapon to wipe you Anakai out. After the betrayal of the slave revolt, we never really forgave you. We knew when the Convergence was done, we'd be all on the crust, and didn't want to have to deal with you and your unwavering morality. We figured if we wipe you out, we'd control the planet. Nice. Richard nodded. Yeah, I thought so. We've been planning it for a very, very long time, but it won't matter. Really? Why is that? Do you remember them? Kuthanaga took a step back from him and paused. You don't mean? Yes, I do. I figured they would find us eventually. How do you know for sure? Kunaks. Kuthanaga lowered his blade off of Richard's neck. I'll still kill you, Zygril, but not now. You sure? I'm not sure I'd like to face my wife without the human. Does she know what he looks like? No, but his blood will reveal who he is to my scientist. Plus, once she gets started with her toys, he'll spill his guts. Grab another human on the island. I'll imprint him with Tim's memories. She'll never know the difference. I'm sure you can handle your scientist. This one's coming with me. It's a trade for sparing your life. You do recall the honor pact between our races. Richard bowed and nodded. Of course. I'm a bit shocked you'd sacrifice one human to save another. That's very anti-Anukai. Kuthanaga looked him deep in the eyes. Some of that man died with his wife. You'll see how different I am the next time we meet. Now drive the boat so we can get your replacement. Richard cautiously passed Kuthanaga and started the boat again. A few minutes later, on dry land, and they found a guard. Kuthanaga quickly knocked him out, focusing on him, altering his appearance, and imprinting Tim's memory on him. Kuthanaga, if you don't mind me asking, why didn't you just do this, slip aboard the boat, and just swap them out? because I wanted to talk with you and see if what I suspected was true. Plus, I wanted you to know for sure that I could have killed you. Rest assured, I will kill you eventually. I see. Well, I thank you for this small token. I hope you understand if I do everything in my power to kill you first. Kuthanaga got back in the boat and started it up. I expect nothing less. Drive carefully. I will see you again. Richard picked up the guard, slung him over his shoulders, and he clicked his dimensional shifter and everything went purple. He watched as Kuthanaga drove off. He wasn't upset. His wife would be pacified and he'd be able to deal with Dimitri. He had valuable information on why the Anakai were on the crust, and he also knew Kuthanaga knew about Tiamat. Kuthanaga didn't seem too bothered by the news that the Drakes had a weapon which could wipe out all of the Anakai. He smiled. Part of him was relieved that Tim wasn't going to have to suffer under his wife's hand. Realizing this, he suddenly knew part of why Kuthanaga risked so much. There was something about that human. Richard walked into the building and worked his way down to where Dimitri and his wife were waiting. He materialized in front of them, dropped the guard's body in front of his wife. What happened? Kuthanaga ambushed us. I was able to keep hold of the human and survive. My guards and the security at the dock, not so fortunate. The guard groaned, his eyes open, and Melissa smiled as she stomped down, knocking him back out. Well, at least he'd get his human back. Richard nodded and watched as Dimitri began to undress and place him on a metal slab and locked him down. Dimitri, when you finish, I want to talk with you. Dimitri nodded and continued his prep. Chapter 40, Homecoming, January 1st, 2012, Bimini, 6:30 a.m. Zenari is startled by the connection from Kuthanaga. Kuthanaga, how goes it? Things are good. I have Tim and I'm coming to you. You do? She felt a tugging sensation and Kuthanaga was standing there holding Tim in his arms. Joy jumped up and ran to them. Tim! Tim's eyes fluttered a bit and slowly opened. He saw Kuthanaga and Joy and he smiled. What the hell? 1 minute I'm heading on a plane to Tortureville and now I wake up and everyone's here? What did I miss? Kuthanaga slowly put Tim down and smiled at Joy. Thank you, Kuthanaga, she said as she hugged Tim. Yes, Tim, you were indeed heading to a very bad place. I saw what was to happen to you. It wasn't nice. I was able to arrange to have you released. I dealt with the Drake that had you personally, and we came to an agreement. Kuthanaga, there is an ore on you. I've never seen on an Anukai. Are you okay? Zenari, sometimes one must do things to save the ones they care about. That is not morally correct. I have broken the code. We'll have to answer for that later. But I have learned something more troubling that would have me excited to face the council instead. Zenari was nervous. What do you speak of? Young Zenari, do you recall the history of the Planet Slayers? Zenari paled a bit, which Tim and Joy noticed. Zenari, what's wrong? Zenari waved it away. We shall discuss it when the humans are asleep. It is nothing, Joy. I'm just relieved that they both made it back safely and quickly. Joy nodded and turned her attention back to Tim. Tim looked at Kuthanaga. You made a deal? Dude, there's no way that guy was going to give me up. His wife wanted me pretty badly. Wife? Why? Asked Joy. The Drake we killed in the room in Vegas? Yeah. Turns out that dude was the nephew of the guy who tried the jack move at the hospital. His wife wasn't too happy about her fave nephew going headless from what I could tell. So Richard was going to let her tear me up, and while at it get information from me. What kind of information I don't know, because I really don't know much of anything. Kuthanaga nodded and had a distant look in his eyes. Kuthanaga, thanks for the save, man. I didn't mean to seem like I was ungrateful or anything. It's just that guy Richard didn't seem like the kind of guy you could really negotiate with. Kuthanaga eyes narrowed a bit. He isn't under normal circumstances, and I'm sure we haven't seen the last of him. Which brings me to the next topic. Now that the Earth's milk has shown here, we can retreat back to a safer location and lay low for a bit. I'd like to spend some time with you and Joy and see exactly how you're able to do the things you've been doing. Joy shrugged. Figured it's something you did. Kuthanaga shook his head. No, you are not supposed to be able to do anything near what you're doing. Tim nodded. Okay, so we're moving again. Where to? Kuthanaga thought about it for a moment and then smiled. We're going to Atlantis. Joy and Tim's eyes widened. Atlantis? Kuthanaga nodded. The seeds of my plans have been laid out, and now we need a location which we wait and watch. Atlantis is perfect, since it's ultimately where we will be bringing the humans. Tim was confused. Kuthanaga, I'm so fucking lost at this point. I know you have a lot of secrets, and normally that's way cool, but I'm kind of at the point where I really don't know anything. After everything we've been through, do you think you could shine some light on what's going on? Kuthanaga nodded. Yes, Tim. I suppose it's just a matter of time before we had this discussion. The Earth is waking up, and when she does, nothing on this planet will be the same for a long time. There was no way for humans to know this, and you populated the land far and wide, but this means population is going to be severely diminished. Diminished? You mean dead? Joy's voice cracked. Yes. By how much? She asked. Without our help? Almost all of you. You see, it's not just the Earth waking up and re-emerging, but your sun is also going to contribute to this as well. The sun will be very active in response to the Earth waking, and there will be lots of solar storms. The flares from the suns will be bathing the planet, and your technology will be wiped out for the most part. The re-emerging will be more dramatic. Judgment Day? Said Tim in an almost whisper. Yes, in a manner of speaking. The Bible and religions around the world have had many truths, and you've had many seers and psychics who have warned as well. Atlantis was a continent, and it will be again. There are parts of it that are accessible still, and it is this area we will wait. So how much destruction will there be? Well, Tim, if we Anakai were not here to manipulate a safe area for humans, it would be apocalyptic. The Earth has a cycle, and when she wakes, the crust is almost completely disrupted, as the other off-phase dimensions crash back into focus. There is a 12-day process for the most destructive parts. The build-up will start soon. Enough, though, and we should start seeing the signs soon. When the dimensions where the other Anakai are at merge with the crust, they will join with us, and we'll be able to maintain an environment which will sustain the humans we save. How many humans do you think we'll be able to save? Asked him. We're hoping for 1 billion total. And the rest? We'll have to deal with what happens. What are their chances? Not good. What about us? Asked Joy. What about you? Are we part of the 1 billion? Kuthanaga smiled. Do you even need to ask? She smiled weakly. How are you picking the 1 billion? Asked Tim. We had a system in place, but it seems that some tampering with nature has forced us to do things the hard way. We are judging each one case by case. You have 1 billion Anakai here? No, Tim. We only have 5,000. More than enough to handle the basic scanning. The Earth's milk will also help us figure the rest out as well. Earth's milk? What's that have to do with anything? Kuthanaga paused. The milk in its native form is very pure, has many properties which are beneficial to the drinker, energy, removes toxins from the systems, etc. But if tampered with, it will change its structure to something darker. When people are exposed to the tampered liquid, other effects will materialize. Imagine all the drugs in your world, combine them with their varied effects, and make them addiction 100 times more intense. That is what will be potentially flowing around the world soon. Wait, you mean we just released a super drug into the world? No. We introduced a special liquid that, if left alone and shared freely, would alleviate almost every disease on the planet, as well as rejuvenate the human body. The proverbial fountain of youth. If people steal it or try to sell it, the liquid will shift and will have some negative consequences. Furthermore, if people attempt to modify and change the liquid to turn it into a product that can't replicate on its own. He shrugged and put his hands together. Yeah, but come on. You know it's not up to the people. The corporations will get into it, do whatever it takes to control and sell the liquid. Kuthanaga nodded and turned to face Joy. Yes, Joy, I'm aware of that. That is the most likely scenario. Is there a cure for the tampered milk? Kuthanaga nodded. It's the pure milk, right? Asked Tim. Yes. If you found an individual with very strong will and exceptional mind, they will understand you and heal themselves with the pure earth's milk. That's the purpose. You see, when it gets closer to the evacuation time, we shall push out the information of the pure milk and when and where to get it. This will lead the chosen to us. The others will be far too gone to be concerned by that point. But won't good people be hurt by the mega addicts? Kuthanaga looked down for a moment and thought about the massacre in Mexico. Yes. A lot of people will die from this. And you're cool with that? Yes, Tim, I am. You see, in a manner of speaking, you are all going to die anyway. So if you die during this period, it's necessary. The survivors have to be strong, because there is a judgment that happens to all the chosen. Anukai society can only exist with people of certain ethics. Each and every Anukai has to be judged. Those who are not strong enough are cast out into the wild to fend for themselves. There will be a great many of you who will be outcasts, but even as outcasts, at least you will have survived the great convergence and will have a fighting chance in the new world. What are my chances? Tim asked. Kuthanaga shrugged. I do not know. I see strength in you and joy. Will you be among us after the judging? It will remain to be seen. I also will have to be judged again for the things I have done since coming to the crust. Do not be concerned with these things now. We will collect Rachel, get samples of the Earth's milk from here, and will make our way to the border of Atlantis. It is abandoned and will take some getting used to, but it is the safest place on the planet. Tim hugged Joy and she squeezed him. She could feel his heart pounding in his chest. Kuthanaga paused and glanced at Zanari and walked away. Zanari smiled weakly at Tim and Joy and followed after Kuthanaga. A few steps away, she paused and turned back to face him. Do not be concerned. The great convergence is very destructive. But when the dust settles, you will see things which will amaze you. The judgment is nothing to be worried about as well. I have a feeling we'll all be together when this is all said and done. Tim nodded and Joy just held on to him tightly. Sonari could feel their emotions, and she empathized with them. She followed after Kuthanaga, and when they were out of the earshot of Tim and Joy, she asked, Are you mad? You do not agree with me telling Tim and Joy of the truth. No, the truth is fine, but using the Earth's milk as you described? Yes, I see. Yes, that is against the teachings. But in all honesty, are we truly getting the best 1 billion? By my estimation, we will have over 4.5 billion, which will be suitable. How do we further trim that down to 1 billion? Sonari knew he spoke the truth. She had been coming across many people who met the basic requirements to get deeper would require more time which they did not have. But Kuthanaga, there will be much death. There has been much already, and there will be much more. Sonari, I am sorry to disappoint you, but my time here on the crust has made many things apparent to me, and one of those is the nature of human beings is not far removed from our own nature. We strive to be close to perfect as the Maker has asked of us, but the humans with their short lifespans do not have the time needed to perfect themselves in the same manner. We share the same emotions as they. We needed a way to make sure we could find the absolute best of the best, and in this way, I feel the Earth's milk was the best method for determining this. Do you have an alternate suggestion? Sonari thought for a few moments, and she realized Kuthanaga was bearing the full weight of his decision, and she shook her head. No, I do not know of another way. I am sorry to have offended you. Do not be. I value your counsel and apologize for not sharing the details with you sooner. She nodded and then looked at him. What of the planet slayers you spoke of earlier? His shoulders sagged just a bit for a moment. Yes. That was a topic I had hoped we wouldn't need to discuss. It seems our friends, the Draconians and Kunux, have discovered that the planet slayers may have noticed us after all this time. If that is indeed the case, we may be doing all of this for nothing. We have no way of escaping them if they lock their gaze upon us. We managed to fool them once, but it won't work again, I fear. So the Drake told you this? Yes, and I know he told the truth. What are they going to do? We didn't discuss it further. What do we do? Nothing. We stay on task and continue with the evacuation. If we find out later planet slayers have found us, one of two things will happen. Which are enslavement or total destruction of the Earth. I am hopeful for the second option. I was a child when we escaped to Earth, but not before they marked me. Kuthanaga shifted back to his normal shape, turned and revealed his back. There were 2 large scars that ran from his neck to the base of his spine. Even though I was a child, they marked my family and I with this. The Kunux were able to remove the vices they had implanted in us. I was very lucky. Many of the Anakai homeworld, Demathrul, were worked to death in the mines and as test subjects. The Draconians were enslaved as military fodder and were controlled in a similar manner. Shifting back to his human form, Kuthanaga shook his head. If they do find us, my hope is for a quick death, although I fear they would have other plans for us now. Sonari nodded slowly. She had heard stories of the old world and what the Anakai had been put through, but she had never seen the bondage marks. She was sure her father also had the scars, though. She had never seen them herself. Kuthanaga, I am scared. As am I. Kuthanaga walked up to Zanari and placed his forehead on hers and took 3 deep breaths with her, which she matched. With each breath, she felt a wave of calm, soothing warmth pass over her. By the 3rd breath, she was calmed back down. Thank you. You're welcome. What now? Now we find Rachel, and we head towards Atlantis. We'll read one more here. Chapter 41, Decisions, January 1st, 2012, New York, Ellis Island, 8:01 a.m. Richard was amazed in a way. The guard, Tim, was exactly the same as Tim. He cracked jokes, was defiant, and managed to survive many of Melissa's best techniques before finally cracking. It took longer than he thought it would, and his wife was genuinely satisfied with her plaything. What was more amazing to Richard was the amount of information he was able to gather. It seemed to him that Kuthanaga was uninterested in hiding anything. It was also very apparent he had not shared much of the upcoming convergence with Tim. Dmitri seemed detached and bored with much of the procedure, and when Melissa seemed sated and Richard content with the information he had gathered, Dmitri was anxious to strap guard Tim into Tiamat. Melissa looked at Richard and smiled. I am happy, husband. I would ask for more time, but seeing as he was completely broken, I will gain no more satisfaction in torturing him. You may throw the scraps to the dog now. Dmitri was not offended at all, and actually smiled when she insulted him. As you wish, wife. Where are you off to? I'll be heading home to get some work done. And you? I'll make sure everything is cleaned up, and then we'll take the information and report to the council. Sounds fun. Enjoy. With that, she sauntered off silently. So I may have him now? Dmitri, there's something I need to tell you. What? That this is not the Tim you went out for? He smiled when Richard just stared at him. How long did you know? When you brought him to the sensor and Tiamat lit up slightly. He's almost an exact copy. His blood has shifted slightly to match the Tim you are after. Anakai did it? Richard smiled and nodded. Yeah, Kuthanaga himself. Really? He is very powerful, that one. Yes, he is, which is why it'll make it so much better when I finally kill him. I'd like to watch that. I'm sure you would. You know Kuthanaga messed up, though. Why is that? Messing with the guy the way he did left a very distinct fingerprint on him, a kind of energy signature. I'm almost positive I could use Tiamat, and using the imposter here, blast our friend Kuthanaga into another existence. No! You will do no such thing. I will have the honor of dispatching him at a later time. Dmitri smiled. I figured as much. As you wish. May I use him? Pointing at guard Tim. I don't care. Use him as you wish. But you will not mention this to anyone else. And you will not use Tiamat on Kuthanaga. I hear and obey. Richard flashed him a warning glance. Do not mock me, Dmitri. Dmitri got serious and nodded. I meant no disrespect. Richard waved it away and nodded. None was taken, old friend. What of this Earth's milk? Seems important to Kuthanaga for whatever his plans are. Do we have any idea what it's for? Dmitri nodded. Seems to be perfect, for lack of a better explanation. The healing properties of it are phenomenal. And it self-replicates? Yes. Just needs another liquid in it, and it transforms. The most amazing thing I've ever seen. Can we modify it so it can't self-replicate? We're looking into it. It may not be possible. The liquid is alive, and the self-replicating is part of its biology. If we were to kill it and extract elements from it, maybe. We could also limit its replication to work maybe just another liquid compound? Well, when you're done with Tim here, please jump back into the Earth's milk. I have to go to a meet with the council and look at contingencies regarding the planet slayers. Dmitri paled a bit when he heard the name, and he tried to quickly regain his composure. Are the stories true? He asked. No, they are not. Dmitri weakly smiled a bit. There are no words to describe the horrors they inflict. Anything you can imagine barely scratches the surface of their cruelty and depravity. Dmitri nodded and watched Richard walk away. Richard was gone. Dmitri locked the lab door, regarded the man on the metal slab. He approached with the scalpel and placed it gently on the man's throat. The pulse on the surface of the neck was visible, and he knew with a quick flick of his wrist the man would be gone. He paused, put the scalpel down. I've got plans for you, my friend. Alright, so we're going to end it right there. So that gets us to chapter 42. And there's only things that start picking up now. like 63 chapters. So we've got like another 21 left. So anyway, that's it. Hope you guys are enjoying this. It's kind of cool to be reading this and kind of being reminded of it. A lot of this is fresh for me still. Like I can't remember writing some of this, so it's kind of cool. Anyway, that's it for now. If you like it, please subscribe. Tell all your friends far and wide. Until next time, motherfuckers, please be good to each other and be good to yourself.